This is Dan Zimmerman with Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right, and this is another installment of the Coming to Terms with Activism video series. Remember, if you find this video informative, please remember to like it, share it with your friends, and remember to subscribe to the channel as well. Now, as with some of the other Coming to Terms with Activism videos, the idea of rape culture is not one that I initially embraced. I used to fight back against the term, so if you're a guy or even some women oppose it as well, and you're fighting the idea of the term, listen, I was once where you were. I once thought the term was stupid. I didn't understand it, and part of that was simply because of the fact that I had this definition in my mind of what I thought they were talking about, and it really wasn't what they were talking about. I was trying to define rape culture in my terms and not in their terms, and it's not a very good, honest discussion that you're having if you're debating somebody else, but you're defining what they're saying for them. You need to listen to what they're saying and understand how they're defining the term, and then debate it or understand it from their point of view first of all. Eventually I came around to understanding what it is, and I'm hoping that this video might help people who were similarly situated in my point of view and come around to understand that we do live in a rape culture and, work to fight it. So what is a rape culture? Well, what is culture in general? What is a culture in general? Well, culture is something where something can live and thrive. So think of pop culture. In pop culture, those popular things live and thrive. It's where, music, television shows, fashion, all of those things, live and thrive and, grow. If something is not popular, it doesn't grow. It loses interest. People don't get excited about it. So that's one way to look at it. So something's popular, it thrives. If something is not popular, it doesn't. Another way to look at it, though, and one thing that has actually helped some other people, some other doubters of the idea of rape culture, is when you go to the doctor, and let's say you go and you think you have a sore throat and you think you might have strep. You go get a throat culture or a strep culture, right? So they have the little petri dish, and inside that petri dish is a strep culture. And if you put strep in it, it's going to grow. It's an environment that allows the strep to thrive and grow. But if what you put in there isn't strep, it doesn't thrive and grow. On the other hand, if the petri dish had something that wasn't a strep culture, if you put strep in there, the strep wouldn't thrive and grow. So if it is a strep culture and you put strep in there, the strep thrives and grows. If it's not a strep culture and you put strep in there, the strep doesn't thrive and grow. So let's apply that now to the idea of rape culture. So if you have a rape culture and rape happens, and something that rape will then thrive and grow. But if you don't have a rape culture, then rape doesn't thrive and grow. Well, how can I then say that we have a rape culture? What evidence do I have to assert that we have a system where rape thrives and grows? Well, there's a lot, and if I listed every single one of them, this video would be very, very long. So let's just look at the current case that's going on, the civil case with Donald Trump, and he's being sued civilly over words that he said, denying and disparaging the person who's accusing him. Now, the attorneys will make arguments and trying to question her, recollection of the arguments as if, everybody who is raped is supposed to be the perfect witness to their own crime and is supposed to recollect every single thing that happens. And if for some reason they don't recollect every single thing that happens after a trauma, that somehow means that they were not raped? No. I mean, you cannot expect somebody who has suffered a trauma to recollect everything perfectly. The idea that we have to have somebody who dealt with a trauma to recollect everything perfectly, or else, oh no, you were not violated, is absurd. And that helps rapists go free. Look what happened to Brock Turner, who got a slap on the wrist instead of getting the punishment that was deserved for his clear sexual assault, rape, violation of the drunk woman. And he was caught red-handed. And the punishment that he got did not fit what he did. And the argument that was made on his behalf was about his future. Well, maybe he should have thought about his future before raping somebody. But if we're worried about the future of rapists instead of the future of the victims of the rapists, then rapists aren't feeling prevented from raping. Therefore, we live in a rape culture. When I was in college, I was going around during rush week, and there was a fraternity party that was, there was dinner or something, and somebody was talking about like the whistle that he had for some volleyball thing that they were doing as part of rush week, and he was like, I don't know, it's kind of loud, it's kind of like a rape whistle. And his other fraternity brother was like, what's that? So if you're raping a girl, you can blow it so you can't hear her scream? And I was absolutely disgusted. And I left because I was not going to be pledging that fraternity because I was disgusted by that. And unfortunately, other people would, and they thought that was a funny comment. That helps to perpetuate rape culture. Oh, would you say, oh, that's just boys being boys. Oh, that's just locker room talk. Just like it's just locker room talk when Donald Trump said that he could just walk up on anybody and grab him by the hoo-ha. He claimed that was locker room talk back during the 2016 campaign, although in the deposition that he gave in the civil trial, he doubled down on that. And he said, no, famous people can just do that. It wasn't locker room talk. That's his belief that he, as a star, as a celebrity, can just walk up on people and just grab them. That he has the ability to do that because he's famous and not have to get consent. He doesn't feel that he needs to get consent to grab people. That's rape culture, because you need to always get consent before you touch people, period. But he doesn't feel like he has to, and other people don't feel like they have to either. That's rape culture. Need I go on? I mean, I would hope that I don't have to. But, I've known people who have been raped in the past who go get interviewed by the police, and the police ask questions like, did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy what? Why would you ask somebody who is saying that they have been sexually assaulted or raped that if they've enjoyed it? Clearly, no. They wouldn't have enjoyed it. We have people who make excuses for all sorts of rape that are going on. Look at when some hot woman teacher takes advantage of some underage boy. All the adult males are like, when I was a kid, I would have loved to have had that to happen. That's rape culture too, because the responsibility in that situation to not participate in any sexual activities belongs to the adult in that case. The underage kids can't consent. They are legally incapable of consent. And saying that the victim really wanted it is rape culture. Insisting that the person who got raped really wanted it is rape culture. Doesn't matter how much you think you might have wanted it as that victim, it's rape culture. Now, there are a bunch of people in this country who make a big deal out of false accusations of rape. They do. They put too much weight on the idea of false accusations of rape. They make lots of noise about it, even though there's no evidence that false accusations of rape take place at a higher rate than false accusations of any other crime. And I try to only talk about it minimally, because it should only be talked about minimally because it should take this much space as opposed to this much space of that should be talked about rape. But it can happen. The Duke lacrosse case is one example. There's a Hofstra case as well where it did happen. And what happened after Duke lacrosse? What happened after the Hofstra case, where you had a woman that went home with 4 guys and, she consented to a lot of activities. And you know what? I'm not going to shame her for enjoying activities with multiple people. Good for you. Nobody should be shamed for those activities. I mean, she then was apparently caught cheating on her boyfriend. Instead of fessing up to the fact that she was cheating on her boyfriend, she claimed that they raped her and that she was drunk or whatever. But apparently one of them videotaped it and proved their innocence. And they were acquitted, or I think they even dropped the charges. So they were exonerated. But what happened then? Well, every time you have a legitimate case where someone is shown that to have lied about it and it makes the public airwaves, what happens? The public then goes, oh, well, if this one lied, why doesn't the other one? What about the next one? Did the next one lie too? Every single time you see a case where somebody makes a false accusation, it makes the public in general be like, well, maybe the next one's gonna lie. It makes it that much harder for the next victim to come forward and say, hey, I was assaulted too, because then most people are going to have just a little bit more doubt. I'm not saying I do. I try and look at each case on a case-by-case basis. And I believe, individually speaking, that everybody should be listened to first and be judged on their own merits, and everybody deserves to have their story listened to before any judgments are made. That's why you should listen to all victims as they come forward. But we don't. And that we don't is part of rape culture. Hell, the entire cover-up by the Catholic Church, when you had priests being moved from one parish to another to protect their sex crimes and protect the priests from the charges that they might get because of their sex crimes, that's rape culture too, because that enabled them to get away with their crimes, and it enabled them to move to other places so they can commit more crimes. Again, it was a situation that allowed rape to foster. It fostered an environment of rape where it allowed it to grow and happen more. Many more examples could take place. So we have a system currently. It doesn't matter that it's illegal. It doesn't matter that there are people who are convicted. It doesn't matter that there are people who are convicted that go to jail for a long time. Because there are a lot of people that don't. There are a lot of people who won't come forward and make the accusation that they should make because they're uncomfortable doing it, because they know what they're going to have to go through, because they know the system is stacked against the victim. And if the system is stacked against the victim and protects the perpetrator, that's rape culture. So what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Did I manage to change your mind? Leave your opinion in your comments. Remember to like the video, share it with your friends, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Remember, Liberal Dan Radio is on every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Central, here on Liberal Dan Radio on YouTube.